Greetings, everybody. We are live. Great to be with you. This is going to be hopefully a very stimulating 40 to 45 minutes. This is a process that I've done now probably over 300 times in our philosophy formula program. And the dynamic is such, we call open office hours, and we get together in this, it used to be called Google Hangout, but they've done away with Google Hangouts, and now they call it YouTube Live, which is almost the same thing, where we can connect with people throughout the entire planet globally, just simply through a link that we give you to a viewing page where you're watching me right now. Now you have the option to come inside of the Hangout with us too. If you're looking on the viewing page, and if you see me glancing to my left or to my right, it's because I have a 50-inch 4K screen in front of me, so I have things set up around the screen, including looking at you right now. And you'll see that there's a Facebook thread there. You'll also see an orange button that says join us inside of the Hangout. And if you push that button, you can come in like Dawn is inside right now. We have room for about 6 or 7 more people, so I encourage you all to come inside the Hangout. And if you're there, you can actually ask questions, interact directly. If you prefer to stay on the viewing page for any reason, you have a lot of background noise, you're on the phone, whatever that might be, then you can be out on the viewing page. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to check in. So I can see our numbers, wow, they're popping up really quickly. So there's a lot of viewers out there right now. I'd love for you to check in, say your name, where you're hanging out from, and post it there in that Facebook thread. Now, in addition, you can ask a question or leave a comment. The majority of this presentation, or this experience, I should say, I don't want it to be me presenting. I want it to be you asking questions. And here's the really interesting part of this. Question out of limits. It does not have to be on a particular subject. Ask me anything that you'd like to. It should pertain, hopefully, to chiropractic, chiropractic practice, chiropractic success, how to have a chiropractic, or have a healthy relationship as a chiropractor. I get all kinds of things. What should my office layout be? How do I fire somebody? How do I hire somebody? I work many hours, and my wife and I, or my husband and I, are separated a lot, and we seem to have conflict over just being disconnected. Are there any strategies for that? I don't know what it might be, but there's many important categories of your life that center or are related to what you do as a chiropractor. And this forum is about the wisdom of the group. This forum is about people who have questions, who think that they're the only one with a certain challenge. Here's what we've learned after doing over 300 of these, is that if you're asking the question, I can guarantee you there are dozens of people who want to know the answer. Invariably, people say, geez, I thought I was kind of the only one who had that particular experience. You also may make, if you have a particular comment that you'd like to make about anything that we're saying, please share the comment. Again, this is community learning. This is a group dynamic. I certainly have some things that I want to talk to you about, and the core of our subject matter is philosophy and how you leverage philosophy into success. And I mean massive success. What most people do not understand is the practical application of philosophy in life in general, and more specifically in healthcare, and even more specifically in that, chiropractic. So, and as you all know, I think philosophy is kind of this buzz term that generates a lot of heat. When I'm out speaking and we talk about philosophy, we get a lot of interesting comments and interactions. And this profession, chiropractic, has been kind of weird, that people have into philosophy, that there's a split where people say, well, I'm not a philosophically based chiropractor, I'm a scientifically based chiropractor, I'm a philosophically based chiropractor, I don't get into the science. There's weird schisms that are so off base and lead people enthusiastically down blind alleys from which they many times never recover. So my aim here for this particular experience that we're gonna have together for the next now maybe 30 minutes or 35 minutes or so is to say something and give you a frame of reference or a context that can be absolutely transformative to you. Something that would absolutely be a shift in your thinking that is a newfound clarity, that some things come together where there was fuzziness and suddenly it becomes clear to you. And if that happens, if there's just one little thing that does that during the course of this particular webcast tonight, your time is well spent, and it has ripple effects that will have huge magnitude as far as the outcomes into the future. I mean, a simple thing that I say tonight that would increase your retention, by an extra 5 visits times all the patients that you'll have over the next 3 or 5 years you practice, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. So I believe in the power of ideas. I believe in the power of clear thinking and what that leads to and how that translates into more success. So that's what this is really going to be about tonight. But as I said, I want you to be engaged in the process. And I'd love to see you interact with me throughout this process. So having said that, and it's Miguel is here with me, my executive assistant. As people come in, Miguel, make sure that you mute them for me, please. So what happens now, is that there are, how can I put it? I see great opportunity for chiropractic through clarification of its message to do great things. You as individual chiropractors and the profession as a whole. I've been traveling the world. We just set up a base for Ultimate Achievers Club in Australia. We're spending more time there. I spend time in Europe every year. So I get a good understanding of chiropractic in different parts of the world. And I'm really finding some common denominators when it comes to clarity of thinking, clarifying their philosophy, which means organizing their belief elements, their premises, having them line up, applying them in practice through every aspect of the practice. Your philosophy literally translates into your purpose, which literally translates into your brand. So you start lining these things up, things start to move on a much higher, much more effective level. But here's what I found. Most chiropractors, and this is why I would have thought, oh, they're anti-philosophy, they're fighting against philosophy. Here's what I've really found. They are philosophically passive. It's not, at this point, it's not that they're just against it or they have some, there are certain people, certain leaders who feel that way. But when I look at the general field, I find that the majority of the field, unfortunately, is philosophically passive, which means they're intellectually apathetic, that they're not engaging their mind, thinking in deeper levels, becoming a greater level expert, organizing new thoughts and connections that allow them to become more effective in what they're doing in their careers, in their practice, how they serve people, how they lead their staff, how they even manage their finances, all the dimensions, how new patients, etc. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to spark up our thinking, brighten it a little. If you can think of a bulb that's kind of dull, we can turn it up and we can brighten it a little. And instead of being sort of intellectually passive or having that kind of philosophical apathy, my job here tonight is to kind of spark your thinking and get you to move on some thoughts that you have, and that will translate, I think, into terrific outcomes for you. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. In the meantime, let's see if some people have checked in. Miguel, do we have any people who have checked in outside? And then, of course, we should welcome the people inside with us.
Yes, lots of people outside on the Facebook page. Dr. Pennington, Dr. Maxwell, Dr. Moskowitz, Dr. Kane, Dr. Konis, Dr. Lang, Dr. Whitty. Lots of people out on the Facebook page, and inside the Hangout we have Dr. Chaffee, Dr. Auletta, and Dr. Maxwell just joined the call as well. Welcome, everyone.
Terrific. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you guys inside. Is that Max I see inside? All right. I love it. Okay. You put your camera on, Max. I like to see your smiling face. Okay. So I want to share with you a graphic to start out here. And again, if you have questions, if you have comments, please post them out on the Facebook page. If you're inside the Hangout with me where you see these nice faces looking at us, there's a side chat, so you can post, you'd say to Miguel, will pick it up there in the side chat. I have a question, I have a comment, what have you, and Miguel will go to you. So let me, I'm going to do a quick little screen share here and explain something to you. Let's do this, and then we're going to do this. All right. Miguel, just affirm for me that you can see what's on my screen and that you're seeing the graph.
Yep, we're all good. We see the screen share.
All right, so we're looking at sort of an XY graph here. And on the left-hand side of the graph, geez, I wonder if I can, let's see if this will work. No, that's not going to work. All right, on the left-hand side of the graph, you see on the vertical axis, practice success. So that is basically going vertically. The higher that goes, the more successful your practice is. Across the bottom, that's the time domain. You protract it over time, what might happen. On the right-hand side vertically, this is clarity of thinking. As you increase your clarity of thinking or increase your the integration of your philosophical premises and organize your thinking and action along with that. That's also on this vertical axis. So you could see, and this is what I see happen in many practices, if you start on the left-hand side and you see the, that line, that's you on the line, any particular person, any particular chiropractor who's moving across the time domain. But you could see if their thinking is not increasing in its power or its clarity, what starts to happen is they stay stagnant. They stay down that level. They have confusion. They have some contradictions in there. And this is the practice that feels sort of stuck. This is the person that says, I really need a breakthrough. But the breakthrough they many times are looking for is some type of a new procedure, which I'm not against procedures, obviously. You need good and congruent procedures. But I will contend that the breakthrough is in thinking first. The breakthrough is in who you are and what you think and how you operate and how you lead and what kind of energy you have behind your actions due to the clarity of your thinking, the drive of your purpose, etc. So what we introduced there, like in this particular case, we talk about philosophy formula. And this is what we've seen. We introduced 12 weeks of time. And as they're ramping up through those 12 weeks of time, we see a steep slope, an upward tick of practice success that's commensurate with the congruency in their thinking. Now, mind you, not everybody thinks the same. Different practices have different purposes. Different individuals have different purposes, but they got aligned with whatever that purpose is. And the consequence of that clearer thinking and the alignment has created, substantially bigger practice success. So, I talk about this, verbally, but for some people, they need to see it. This is what it looks like. This is what the graph would trend like if you start to improve on your thinking. All right, so let's come back to me. I guess you see me now. Okay, terrific. All right, so hopefully that gave you a bit of a visual as to what it would mean to clarify your thinking, how removing contradictions, having congruency in your thoughts and actions would add to a bigger and a dynamically growing practice that becomes more successful. Bigger practice volume, you attract more people. Bigger revenue because you're adding more, you have more services or more people that you are serving, etc. So, and I think it's something that most chiropractors strive for, obviously, is to grow their practice or to have a higher quality of practice, meaning that they have the right kind of people in there, they have the right type of care plans that they provide. And you start to see that all these dots get connected from how you're going to answer your phone, how you're going to interact with the patient on the consultation, what kind of an exam you're going to do, what you're going to say in the doctor's report, what type of a care plan are you going to recommend, which is very important. A lot of people have a certain view of reality when it comes to health and chiropractic, but their care plans don't reflect it. And so how do you possibly sell those care plans? And what they do is they get worried, saying, "Well, I don't think people will accept what I think is right, so I just kind of give them what I think they want." And that's the kiss of death. It really is. So I'm hoping that when you get kind of very clear on your purpose, that what starts to happen is you start organizing how everything's lined up, your patient, your table talk, your patient education, your marketing, all these things go together. So that is, that's really kind of the scope of where philosophy travels, and clear thinking travels in your practice success. So with that, do we have any questions or comments at the moment, Miguel?
Nothing on the Facebook thread yet, as of yet. And I believe nothing.
Any additional people that we want to welcome?
Yeah, since our last welcome, we've had Dr. Hajo from New Jersey and Dr. Lazar from Ann Arbor, Michigan, joining us out on the Facebook thread. So welcome. And inside the Hangout, Dr. Maxwell, you already addressed, and Dr. Pennington joining us.
Yes. Inside, thank you for coming inside. And so I think we've got some people from varying states and countries here. Again, great to be with you all. Any questions or comments, post them out there and let me serve you in the best way I can with the time that we have. So if I were to ask you, and I'd like you all to do this maybe as a thought experiment, if I were to ask you right now, what are the 3 most important premises relative to your practice or relative to health as you see it, what would you tell me? Would you have a response to those questions? Would it be clear? Would it be automatic? Would it be in your mind? What do you think the most important philosophical premise is? When I say premise, what's a premise? A premise is a belief element that is driving your choices and actions, whether you know it or not. So premises can be serving you right now and driving you toward more success and helping people. Premises that you're holding could be, in your subconscious and kind of decaying your ability to achieve success. You could be leaking energy through faulty premises, etc. Many of the premises that we have in our life are picked up from our mothers, fathers, teachers, preachers, and the impact they can have is completely profound, positively or negatively. So let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about here, because I think once you start to identify some of the most important premises in your life, it can really change things. One example I would give you is this. When I start out in business, and listen, if you're a chiropractor and you own your own practice, or even if you're an independent contractor in somebody else's practice, you're still in your own business. And what I could tell you is that you've heard things along the way about what it takes to succeed in business. And you might have heard things from your parents, you might have heard things from mentors, you might have heard things from your professors at chiropractic college, etc. Let me give you a personal example that was a pretty radical revelation for me. And I think it speaks to the power of premise. So when I was starting out in business, I got out of chiropractic school, and even before, while I was in chiropractic school and I was talking to people who were successful in businesses, and even chiropractors who were successful in chiropractic practices, here's 2 or 3 people that really inspired me and kind of were mentoring me. They told me a similar premise. I don't know if they articulated exactly the same way, but they sort of did. And tell me if you've ever heard this. They said that in order to create success, if you want to succeed on a high level in your own business, be it a chiropractor or anything else, but if you're starting your own business, you want to succeed on a high level in that business, the only way to do that is you have to make sacrifices. Sometimes you're gonna have to work weekends, they say. There's gonna be a lot of hours. You're not gonna do 40 hours a week. You're gonna be out working people. And in essence, success requires that there are sacrifices that you make in your life in order to build that success. Now, what I remember, when I took those lessons and said, okay, I want to be successful and I'm willing to make the sacrifices necessary to become successful. And a sacrifice I would define as trading something for greater value for something of lesser value. So what happened is that I went, and I was in my 20s, I was single, I had no children. I had 4.5 years working basically 7 days a week, traveling. I had my practice going. I was building the company that you might know as CLA, or Chiropractic Leadership Alliance. And we were growing quite a bit, and I was working day and night, late hours. And I loved the work, but I had to put off many other aspects of my life. But then over time, what starts to happen? Well, maybe you get married like I did. Maybe you start to have children like I did. And I got to a point where I was married. I had 3 kids. I was traveling 150,000 miles a year. I was running 2 multi-million-dollar companies. And I was, I wanted to keep this all going, but my company or my career trajectory is still doing this. So if I wanted to grow, every time I said, we want to get to the next level, we want to grow, we're setting new objectives, we have a new vision. Here's where we want to take it. Here's new products or services we want to deliver. Whenever we wanted to grow, I started walking around looking for, okay, well, if I want higher level success, what do I need to sacrifice? Because what's my premise? My premise is success requires sacrifice. So after a while, when you're constantly trying to grow your business and also looking for something to sacrifice, you start making enough sacrifices where it gets bloody, it gets very painful. Your life is not starting to look very good because of it. And when I finally had the epiphany one day that literally, and it was, at that point, it was like subconscious. It wasn't like I was consciously saying, hey, what can I sacrifice? But my behavior was such that what I learned from my mentors was a premise that said that success requires sacrifice. I walked around, started looking for something to sacrifice, and I was always sacrificing things. Maybe it was my health. Maybe it was time with my wife. Maybe it was time with my kids. Maybe it was any other important category in your life that you're not paying attention to because you figure you have to sacrifice these things in order to succeed. And one day, and I remember very clearly, I finally, when I was in enough pain to start thinking about this, and literally following my own recommendations as far as organizing your philosophy, organizing your premises, and utilizing them as leverage to grow a bigger business and to be more successful. And that's where I finally realized I had a premise that was destroying my life. So I replaced that premise with I can have it all. I can have it all, meaning that I can have a very successful career, an ultra successful career. I can have a legendary romance. I could be a world-class dad with my kids. I can be very fit and healthy. I can do all of these things. I don't have to sacrifice any of them. Now, I never said it was easy, but if I start with the premise that I can have it all, then my thinking is geared toward, okay, what actions, strategies, etc. do I need to take to have it all, as compared to my thinking being geared toward what do I need to sacrifice to grow my business. You see the difference. So what starts to happen, and I think it's a very poignant thing, is that it's amazing how when you have a breakthrough in a little thing like adopting a new premise and letting go or pruning old defeating premises, how transformative it is for your practice, your life, your career. And I'm not, I'm here talking about chiropractic success, but it goes well beyond that. It's all the dimensions of your life that start to reorganize with the new intelligence that you put in it. So again, intellectual apathy is the enemy. Being philosophically passive it leads to like decay over time. What you want to do is you want to engage, and you want to take a look at how you can take new breakthroughs in thinking and apply them to your practice. Oh, my whole screen just went black. I'm still here, right? Okay. It went out and came back in, so I think we're good. Okay, so now, many of you, hopefully most of you, signed up for the free videos that I gave away recently. I have 3 videos that deal with 3 different areas of philosophy and success. One is the 5 P's to prosperity, which starts with philosophy and purpose and goes to psychology, procedure, and then prosperity. That is absolutely pivotal to many of the people, if not all the people that watch it. And we've had thousands and thousands that have watched that video. We also had then, what's your philosophy of money? Because I know too many chiropractors, and of course people in general, but I'm talking to chiropractors, who have built success and sabotage it, and they end up becoming financially compromised, the consequence of which is that they go through these cycles of build and destroy and build and destroy because they have contradictions in money. They have not figured out how to reconcile a humanitarian service called chiropractic and reconcile that with making a profit. And that particular video is, I believe, transformative. And then the third video was the relationship between philosophy and new patients, and how your premises can transform how you attract new patients into your office and increase the volume of new patients you attract to your office. One of the great premises that we talked about there is that most chiropractors, they walk around saying over and over again, I need more new patients. I need more new patients. What's the number 1 need for your practice? More new patients. Do you see how that's a defeating premise? That if you walk around and you say, I go to the marketplace based on my need, based on what I need, and I need new patients. If you were to shift the premise to new patients need you, can you see how that would transform everything? So now you're going to your marketplace saying, you need me because of the predicament that my community is in. There's an urgent problem in the community where people are misinformed, over-medicated, and dying as a consequence. They're sick and dying out there. And I have a solution to this urgent problem. So therefore, my community needs me. It might be financially true that your business is struggling and you want more business to come in. But if you want to attract those people in, you have to shift your energy toward them needing you, not you needing them. If they're coming there to meet your needs, you should be paying them. They shouldn't be paying you. So you can see that if you start to really reorganize your thinking around these types of subjects, the impact, the massive impact that can have. Now, if you haven't seen the 3 free videos and you want to take, they're each about an hour, and you want to take some time to go through them and understand them on a deeper level, etc., I would highly recommend it. It's free. There's no cost to it. You can just go to philosophyformula.com, and philosophyformula.com will you basically put in your first name in an email, and then we'll send you links, and you can watch those videos. They'll only be up for about another week, not even a week maybe. So we're leaving up for a little while longer. So if you haven't gotten those and you want to see them, they're available there for you. Also, you should know that we are launching our philosophy, the next class. This is the 7th class of the philosophy formula, which brings us, I think above 1,000 students that we've had through the training worldwide. And that's launching on Monday. As a matter of fact, Miguel, you might want to put up the link. I'll have Miguel put up a link on the viewing page. If you want to go there, you can just click that link or go to philosophyformula.com/grow, all lowercase grow. And if you go to, if you or click the link, but even just look at what the 12 weeks, kind of how it lays out, what subjects we cover. You can see the bonuses we have. It's extremely affordable. We guarantee it, all that kind of good stuff. I don't want to sit here and have a full marketing pitch for you. I think at this point, we've got so much social proof about the value of this program and how it's transforming chiropractors' lives around the world. And it's so affordable that it doesn't really take much convincing. So when that should pop up on your page in just a second, or if you go to philosophyformula.com/grow, at that point, just go check it out. I would register. We limit the class to 200. Why? Because during the course of the 12 weeks, a part of what I do are these interactions. I have other instructors that also help me with these interactions, meaning just like we are right now, you and I are here, we're having this conversation, you can submit questions and comments, I can respond to those questions and comments, plus we have the subject matter week by week of every video that we're covering, because there's a video that's released every week that's a part of the basic course, the core program, and then we have discussion around it. So that's why this is sort of like the secret weapon. But we played with the numbers, and at about 200 members, we can effectively communicate, interact, answer questions, etc. as a community. If we go much beyond that, we start to have a capacity issue. So we know what our capacity is, and we sell out the programs very routinely at the 200 mark. So I'm going to highly encourage you, if you're interested in this. Did it post yet, Miguel, or no?
It's out there on the Facebook thread now.
Okay, it's there now. Okay, so if you hit refresh on your screen, incidentally, it might come up. If you're not seeing it, yet, it's not up yet. It should be there in a second. But bottom line is that if you were to engage in a process over 12 weeks and we interact like this over the course of 12 weeks, I think you'll see that it's very transformative for you. So just take a look at it. There's a lot of information there. There's a video where I go over all 12 of the modules to explain what's in them, what the course is, the bonuses that are involved, etc. So go check it out. And if you have questions, you always contact us. But we are launching on Monday. Class starts Monday. So if you're going to come in, now is the time to come in for that class. I think you will really, really transform your life and your future with it. So let me just throw up, are there any questions or comments at this point, Miguel, that I should be handling?
Yes. We have one from Dr. Gary Moskowitz out on the Facebook thread, and he asked the following. He said, can you speak to how the philosophy of chiropractic is actually perfectly aligned with where the current level of wellness thinking is going on in the world today?
It's a great question. Incidentally, Miguel, I'm not seeing the link come up for some reason. Post it in the comment thread there. That's a great question. So here's my answer to that question. Wellness has become a term that I believe has lost a specific meaning. And mind you, I helped coin the term, especially in chiropractic. We launched our Creating Wellness project. It was a multi-million-dollar project, bringing it into the profession. One of the most difficult things that we had was as a task was to define what the term wellness means, because it's been totally diluted out there. You can go into a pharmacy and they'll say, wellness is a blood pressure screening and getting your flu shot. You can go into, if you could also, I'll do it. I'm just going to print here. If you were to go to your local gym, they would have a certain orientation toward wellness. If you go into Walgreens, they'll have a whole wellness section. You know what I'm saying? So wellness has so many varied meanings to different people that it needs to be defined what do you mean by wellness? Obviously, as chiropractors, we have our own orientation about wellness. And I define wellness as the degree to which an individual experiences health and vitality in any dimension of life. So what do I mean by that? First of all, wellness isn't automatically mean you're well. It's a matter of degree. How much wellness do you experience? How much do you express? It might be a little bit of wellness. It might be a lot. If there was an illness-wellness continuum, and for all of you, this little thing I'm going to show you right now could transform your practice if you do any public talk and speaking, because this is I've tested this many times in live audiences of prospective patients, and it works very effectively. If I were to say on one side of a continuum, wellness is on another side of a continuum. So right now, everybody is on this continuum somewhere. Now, some people have a small degree of wellness, meaning they have a high degree of illness, and some people have a high degree of wellness, meaning they're thriving, they're expressing health and wellness. So it's the degree to which an individual experiences health and vitality in any dimension of life. Now, right now, you who are watching me, and anybody in the world, if they're breathing, if they're alive, they're somewhere on this illness-wellness continuum. And they're either moving toward illness and away from wellness, or you are moving toward wellness and away from illness. And if you had to be perfectly honest with yourself right now, and this is the question you would ask in front of a live audience, or you could ask it to an individual patient. If you're going to be perfectly honest with yourself right now, which way would you say you're moving? And incidentally, I would pause for 5 seconds there, sink into the group that you're speaking to. Maybe it's a group report or the individual. But if I ask the question, right now, you're either moving toward wellness and away from illness, or you're moving toward illness and away from wellness. And if you had to be perfectly honest with yourself right now, which way would you say you are moving? And that's where most people will reflect and say, probably the wrong way. And then at that point, depending on the type of practice you have, you can then comment, well, that's why I'm here tonight. My goal, my purpose, depending on your practice, how your statement of purpose runs, what your core values are, all those kinds of great things that come out of philosophy formula that you get clarity on. That at that point, that's where you'd say, my purpose is I get up every day to move you in the right direction on that continuum, to move your family on the right direction on that continuum, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter how sick you are, right? No matter how sick you are, you can always move toward more wellness. I don't care if you've got terminal cancer or maybe you're a competitive athlete. Anywhere in that continuum, we can help you in chiropractic. So to answer the second part of the question is, how does chiropractic align with that? How does the principles of chiropractic align with the principles of wellness? Well, now that we've defined what wellness is, the answer is, what are your foundational premises in chiropractic? I asked about that earlier, but here's what I know. The body is self-healing and self-regulating. That is a premise I have 100% certainty around. Cut yourself, you heal. Cut a cadaver, nothing happens. Life heals. I've been in 9 public debates. Nobody's debated that with me. The body is also self-regulating. Right now, your kidneys are doing their thing. Your liver's doing its thing. Your digestive processes are going on. Heart and lungs are doing things. Hopefully, there's some brain biochemical processes going on. You're not consciously controlling any of that right now. The body auto-regulates. So one premise is the body is self-healing and self-regulating. A second premise is that the nervous system is the master system and controller of that body. Again, I don't want to spend the time here, but that's a fact. Then we can draw a derivative premise that says, therefore, if the body is self-healing, self-regulating, if the nervous system is the master system and control of the body, then it stands to reason that if we interfere with nervous system function, we will then necessarily interfere with the ability for the body to heal and to regulate. It's that simple. Stress in life in 3 dimensions, physical, biochemical, and psychological, that's beyond the body's general adaptive potential, will cause a process that we call subluxation, which changes the alignment, changes the function of the nervous system, which changes postural muscle tone, which changes the alignment of vertebrae, and then you get a cycle that sets that leads to spiraling downward or moving you toward illness, if you will, or downward trajectory as far as your health is concerned. So we identify as chiropractors if somebody has stress that is causing this thing that we call subluxation that's deteriorating your health. We identify that and we adjust and we remove it. So this is where I feel that wellness and chiropractic are absolutely aligned, because there is a thing called the chiropractic lifestyle. If you better manage the causes of subluxation, physical, biochemical, and psychological stress, toxic trauma, autosuggestion, whatever terms you like to use, which has been a part of the chiropractic lexicon for well over 100 years, then you start to see, okay, well, that's where it lines up in what I refer to as epigenetic care. Epigenetic care is where you're doing things with the patient for the purposes of enhancing their health expression through lifestyle changes. That's epigenetic care. 75% of health expression is a byproduct of epigenetics. Only 25% of it is a byproduct of your genetic makeup. So it's the majority of it is through how you're living. Chiropractic is completely unique, though, in its application of the adjustment, which introduces a constructive force into the nervous system for correction and a more robust ability for the body to heal and to regulate. So there's a lot here. This is an entire week that we spend on this in philosophy forum to hash these things out. And incidentally, just because I think that way doesn't mean that you need to think that way. I'm not here, and this course is not about telling you what to think. It's about giving you an algorithm and a structure from which to think, to engage intellectually rather than have intellectual apathy, to not be philosophically passive, but philosophically bright. And it stimulates that over a course of 12 weeks. You will draw your own conclusions. I'm there to help lead the process, but everybody doesn't think the same way, nor should they think the same way. So anyway, hopefully that answers the question. I appreciate it, the question. We have some new people to welcome. I see Dr. Dave Moore came in. So Dave, great to see you. And I'd like to maybe, I've been here pontificating. I just saw Letitia leave, but maybe Dave, I'll ask you to kind of share your experience in philosophy formula, if you don't mind. And thanks so much for showing up.
Sure. Can you hear me? Great. So, I noticed the live event was going on, and so I'm assuming that people that are watching this are wondering whether this is for them or not. So, a little over a year and a half ago, I was in the same boat you were. I wasn't sure if it was something that if it was going to really deliver all that Pat was saying was going to deliver. I watched a couple of the free videos, and quite honestly, the free videos alone are incredibly valuable. So if you haven't watched them, go watch them. But for the last year and a half, I went through the 11 modules, and I'll tell you what, getting involved on a level that I have, I got to tell you, I've traveled the country. I've spoken to chiropractors and met chiropractors all over the world. I love that. I love connecting with chiropractors. But from the privacy of my own home and the privacy of my own office, to sit down across, face to face with Patrick, or usually there's at least 10 other chiropractors that are regularly in these hangouts, to really break down my philosophy as a tool, not as a some sort of theory, but to literally break it down as a tool that is practical and something that I can use not only in my practice but in my life, has been huge. It's opened up doors for me. So the last year and a half in practice, we're a multi-doctor office. We've had staff. We've really focused and we got real clear on our purpose for our practice, a clear goal for each patient that walks in the door. It's just gotten so much easier and so much freer for us to practice. We've grown. We're more profitable. All the things that might be buzzwords for you, they happen. But let me tell you something. What happens on a personal level when you start to really break things down in a philosophy formula and start to think this way and make it part of your life, everything changes. Everything changes. So not just in practice, but in personal life, in successes in and outside the office. I can't say enough. We started a mastermind group because after we went through our first 11 modules, I think I was class 3, we trickle in after a class is over. We keep growing that group because we just keep going back through the same 11 modules because you can't get enough of it. You can't understand it too much. It reveals itself more and more as you grow more and more. So every time I go through a module, I'm in a different place. I hear different things. So, it's awesome. So if you're wondering if there's value in this thing, unfortunately, if you're wondering if there's value, there's more than enough value. You'll get your return on your first module. So if you're worried about that, don't worry about that. Jump in with both feet. and get involved, be in the classes. And I look forward to seeing you, whether it's be, in a format like this, or maybe eventually in the mastermind program. We're having a really good time. I just want to thank you, Pat, for blessing my life and my practice and our family because of it, and continuing to do that going forward. So that's my 2 cents.
Dave, thanks so much. Worth a whole lot more than 2 cents. I'm going to ask you one quick question, like literally 15-second, 30-second answer. Because understanding the intellectual side and how it leads to the expansion of the practice. But here's the thing I really want to cite or see if people understand. And incidentally, Dave and I didn't plan any of this. I didn't even know he was showing up tonight, so I wanted to say I appreciate you for showing up. But let me ask you this, Dave. What does it feel like now? Like, if you'd say, what did it feel like to be in practice and to show up in that office before you did the process of philosophy forming? What does it feel like now that you've worked on your philosophy when you show up? What's the, not the thinking, but the feeling related to that?
The feeling before, I guess I would call the feeling more chaotic or confusing, but less organized, much more easily distracted because there's just always so much in practice. But when you start to filter things through this tool that we call philosophy, when you start to break it down to what do you know, how do you know it, and what are you going to do about it? And you ask those 3 questions, things just fall into line. We had a huge turnover in staff, which would have been a crazy, chaotic thing, would have been one more thing on top of the mound. There's no longer a mound. Everything is very clear. We plugged it right in, and within a few weeks, everybody knew what to do, and it just makes life that much easier. So, 180-degree turn from how I would have reacted, how we would have done things, the length of time and the impact it would have had negatively on the practice, and we turned it into a positive. And within a short period of time, just looking back, my wife, my staff are like, why aren't you freaking out? I'm like, no, this is just, we know who we are. We know what we need to do. We know who we need to hire. We know what that's supposed to look like. And I wouldn't have been so clear as I would be if I hadn't gone through this process. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Dave, for sharing that. And also thanks for representing New Jersey in the house here. This is a good thing. Okay. Right on. Giants are 2-0, incidentally. I'm very happy about that. All right. Miguel, we have another question. Maybe we have time for one more.
Yes, we do. And the question is from Dr. Sean Ramsey Hajo out on the Facebook thread. And he asks, are there any Siiii credits for this course?
So the answer is no. And, let me explain why. I am on the postgrad faculty of, I think, 4 or 5 different schools. I get Siiii credits all over the country where I go. However, I needed this program and this process to be pure, meaning I don't want to have to accommodate the whims of varying state boards and their orientation towards what chiropractors should and should not learn, and then have to modify my content like chiropractic, which is pure and powerful, and water it down to try to comply with what the varying state jurisdictions would require. So I made a decision from the beginning. It's like, just like chiropractic, it's the kind of thing saying, well, you might get more people to come in if you did this, right? So people would say, well, if you got Siiii credits, you might get more people to come in. But to compromise my content, and this is the best content of my career, the best work of my career, no, people are going to show up because it's the right thing to do. They're going to take the course because it's going to change their lives. The Siiii shouldn't matter. It's almost like insurance in chiropractic. Well, you'd get more people coming in if you took this particular insurance, which limited what you could do for the patient, which limited what you can say to the patient, which doesn't allow you to have a long-term relationship with the patient beyond what the insurance limitations and restrictions are. My recommendation, you cannot corrupt your core values and what you're trying to achieve by trying to think that you can widen your audience. We are, the free videos now, we've had, I think, over 12,000 people since we had started giving those out some years ago with the, we do it 2 to 3 times a year. We have, over 12,000 people have registered for those chiropractors have registered for those videos. And, we're now in our 7th class of philosophy formulas, selling out. So, and this is a really good lesson to learn. Some people would think, Well, you get more people, and the reality is we'd be less successful when we compromise on our core values and the clarity of knowing what's right. If we were to give that up or let go of that or undermine that or contradict that in an effort to think that we're being more practical by trying to comply with something that doesn't align with our own values and teachings, that would be a mistake. So I'm walking the walk here. And talking the talk. I don't have CE credit, even though people would say, well, geez, I would join if you had it. And my response is, you should join because it's the right thing to do and it's going to transform your life and practice, not because there's CE credits. And I'm not going to give you a lesser program to try to get credits. So I appreciate the question. I hope you see the sincerity and the passion I have around my answer. But I can tell you, we guarantee it, 30 days in the program, you're through the first 4 weeks of 12. You're going to know whether or not already this is transforming your life. I think the first module where I just teach you how, from an executive level, how to organize your life to create space so something like this can come into it, that's worth 10 times what the program costs, just the first module. 4 weeks in, you're going to feel the difference in your life, and the consequence of that is you're not coming back to get your money back. You're going to be doing this program, and you're going to be doing it with quite a bit of ambition. But if I'm wrong, within 30 days, you can get out and get all your money back. No hard feelings, no questions asked. I probably wouldn't even know about it, so no big deal. So and that's why we'll take the risk. 4 weeks is more than enough time to know if this is right for you, and if it's not right, we give you back your money. The risk is on our part, not your part. So if you're looking to, if you hold the premise that clarifying your thinking and organizing your thinking, which then will organize your actions, if you hold the premise that that will create higher levels of success, then this program is 100% dedicated and aligned to that particular premise. And it's, as Dave said over and over again, it's practical. It's not airy, fuzzy philosophy. It is, we're going to sharpen your thinking like it has never been before in your life. That's what philosophy does. That's why I've been studying it now for almost 30 years. And I still, like this afternoon, I was reading more pages on philosophy, the implications of philosophy, learning more about it and how I could apply it to create my own success in my life in all the important categories of my life. So again, if you go to philosophyformula.com/grow, I think there, I think, but also you can get more details. Join the class. It starts on Monday. So with that, folks, we're right at the end of our time, maybe even a couple minutes over. So I want to honor the time that I gave everybody. Letitia, who was inside, had to go to her biochemistry class because she's going to chiropractic school, but she wanted to tell her story about philosophy formula, and I'll read just a chunk of it. She said, through this program, I've used philosophy to open up doors to be congruent in my thoughts and my purpose in this life. Now I'm in my first year of pre-chiropractic and have enrolled in 2 colleges here in New Zealand and Life West, all through the 3 premises. So she basically is sharing, she was somebody who a chiropractor brought her to this course because she was a massage therapist in the office, and basically said, once she got, learned the philosophy formula and saw the philosophy of chiropractic through that process, decided to go and become a chiropractor, and she's in New Zealand. People are Vietnam, Hong Kong, Israel, all over the world. They've done this course, and I think you should too. So take a good look at it. If you're thinking now's the time for you to do something, I think this is the something. And if not, listen, the free videos are transformative. Go get those, and I hope that they help you. My purpose to serve you and help you grow a bigger, more successful practice in chiropractic and have a better experience and better career. So Miguel, thanks for organizing all this. Dave, thanks for coming in. For all the people who came inside, thank you for coming inside and hanging out with us inside here. And for all of you who viewed, which, thank you so much. There's so many people who showed up for this event. So I appreciate the fact that you think that spending time with me is going to be of value to you. And I will wish you all well. I hope I'll see you on the inside when the course starts. And if there's any questions you have, please just contact us. You can go to support@philosophyformula.com. Any questions, we'll be happy to get back to you with whatever answers you need. So everybody have a terrific night. Great to see you. Take care.
Hey, Patrick.